Hi, welcome to the 13th episode of the New England Gal Knits podcast. I am Janet and I live in Massachusetts with my husband, our two boys, our cat, and our dog. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram at the New England Gal. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. So today is March 16th and it's a Friday. I am a few days late in getting this filmed and uploaded. I normally film on a Tuesday. Unfortunately here in Massachusetts and a lot of the northeast, we did have a nor'easter that hit and it dumped about 15 inches of snow where I am. So didn't get a chance to film, but I have a little bit of time right now where the boys are entertaining themselves with video games, so I'm hoping to get this film and uploaded. I do not have show notes, so I'm going to apologize ahead of time. It may be a little bit by the seat of my pants, but we're going to give it a go because I do have quite a bit to share. So I do have a finished object. So this you haven't seen before. It was never even a work in progress. I wanted something quick and easy. I also had been missing brioche. I was going on brioche withdrawal since my exploration station. So anyways, I decided to knit the brioche bandana cowl, and this is by Lavanya Petrocelli. And here it is. I did finish this on Monday, and the day after the snowstorm, I did wear it out and it was super warm and squishy. So the yarn that I used, and the poor tags are rather beaten up, but it's Lorna Laces, and it's the Shepherd Worsted, which is a 100% superwash merino wool, and in pewter, and then in Farewell. So here is the pewter. It's nice and pretty slate gray. And then Farewell, which is this pretty stunning pink. So, and I absolutely love the combination between the two here. So I have plenty left over. I'm wondering if I could get a hat out of this. I'll have to see if I can find a two-toned hat for worsted weight that I could knit with the remaining of this. If anyone has any suggestions, that would be great. I think Andrea Mowery has a brioche hat, but I don't know if it's worsted. Primrose? I'll have to look that up later, but maybe I can use this for the hat. So this is my finished object, and it was really, really super fast, and I love brioche. It is just nice and relaxing, and I actually find it mindless now that I know what I'm doing. It's very intimidating in the beginning, but now that I've done it a few times, I find it mindless and relaxing. So that is it for finished objects. You would think in 2.5 weeks I'd have a little bit more, but I have so many projects right now going on. I've gotten things done on each project, but haven't made huge dents in them. So for my first work in progress, let me show you the picture. So it is the Klondike pullover, and this is by Mary Ann Benedetto. So this is a pieced sweater, so I am still working on the back of it. And I have just started the armhole decreases. So here's what I have. And this is being knit out of Lopi, and again, as I've said in the past, I'm not going to even try and say the base name, but this is their Ash Heather colorway. And I've gone through about two balls, and I am spit splicing this, so this way there's no ends to weave in. I do have to say it is a very fussy yarn, and it's kind of gross. The hair is left in my mouth after I do it, but I love the idea of not having to weave in ends, because I hate weaving in ends. So, and it's super easy to go ahead and the ends together, so this is perfect. So I am loving the way this is coming out, and I was using my little, this is by Simply Serving, my Book of Monsters Progress Keeper. So that is my first work in progress. So, and I think it's funny, and I think I said this the last time, as much as I'm enjoying this, it's going to be a thick, heavy sweater, and we're entering in spring is next week, and we seem to be getting nor'easters here in Massachusetts. However, the days when it's not snowing, it's 45 to 50 degrees out, so thought of a heavy sweater. It'll be nice to have it done for the fall. So that's my goal. So I'm kind of just meandering on with this sweater. So my next work in progress is the Sunset sweater by Caitlin Hunter. So this is, oops, there we go. So here is what I have so far. It's all tangled, there we go. So the top part of the color work is still a little lumpy. It's not as bad as what it is when I first started knitting it. So once I finished the yoke, I did go ahead and block it out, and a lot of it is flatter than what it was. So I kind of went back and forth if I wanted to rip it out or leave it as is, and I decided I liked it and I can live with it. So I left it as is. So I am now working on the body. So this is being knit out of, the blue is Periwinkle Sheep, and I lost the tag for it, but here it is. And this is actually the sport base in the color Thunderstorm. And everything else I'm knitting with is fingering, but I love this color, and the yarn shop that I was at didn't have any fingering in this color, so I thought I'd go with it, and I'm happy with the way it's turning out. And then the next part on the color work, this is out of Moonstone Dye Works, and this is her Crescent Moon colorway, and this is her BFL sock, and I do have, here is her tag, and it is a 80-20, 80% BFL, 20% nylon. And then for the lower part of the color work, I had, and I don't have the tag for this, this is Knit Picks, and I don't even know the base. It may be the Stroll, and it's in the Cordial color. So I had used this for toes, cuffs, and heels on a pair of socks, and then I just love the way it had looked with everything else. And then for the body, I am doing, this is 100 Raven yarn, and this is a 2-ply 100% merino wool. And this is the Jon Snow colorway, and here it is skeined up. So at first I thought I would go ahead and alternate skeins for the body, but honestly when I did my Zweig, I did not enjoy that process at all. So I thought I would go ahead and give it a go with just doing the one cake for the body of the sweater. So it is pooling, but to be honest with you, I don't know how it's going to look on the camera, and when I look at it, I'm not quite sure how I feel. However, I tried it on and I loved it. It has this tie-dye effect to it that just calls to me. Maybe it's me being a 70s child, but I do love the way it's looking, so I'm hoping it'll continue to pull the same way down the body. So that is the second sweater. I've got 2 sweaters on the needle that I have been working on. So that is it for sweaters, and I have quite a bit of socks on the needles right now. It's actually kind of ridiculous. So I do have a half finished object. So here is the first half of my Irving sock, and this is a pattern by Jacqueline Salem. So I don't know how well. So, and this is being knit out of, this is Knit Picks Felici that, it was bare that I had dyed up, and it's a gold with red and blue speckles in it. This is what I have so far on the second sock. I haven't even finished casting it on yet. I'll get there, I'll get it casted on. I really enjoyed it. It was a very easy to follow pattern. It is very intuitive. I had the pattern memorized. I have to admit, I messed up on the cables. So I held the stitches in front when I should have held them in back, and then I held the stitches in back when I should have held them in front. But at least I was consistent, so I have 2 matching cables. So I just have to remember when I do the second sock that I messed up so that the socks do match. But I am really enjoying these, and I did 11 repeats for the leg, and it worked out perfectly because it was 11 repeats for the foot, and it fits perfectly. So I was very happy that I figured it out, because like I said with the Clark socks on my last one, as much as I love them, I wish I had done a couple extra repeats on the legs to make them a bit longer. So I can't wait. I will hopefully get those the second casted on soon. I don't like casting on. Once something's casted on, I love working on it. I don't like counting stitches. I'll be honest with you. I hate counting stitches. So casting on is not my favorite thing to do. So another sock project I am working on I have one sock almost finished. I still have to put in the heel. So here is one sock, and then I am at the point where I am going to put the ribbing in on the second sock. And this is knit out of Black Bunny fibers, and this is her 75-25% base in her Swamp Thing color. So here is what I have left. So I had mentioned in my last podcast I wanted to get to the green, so I was going to make these knee-high socks. Well, this is already to the point where I normally stop and put in my ribbing, and I measure these and I still have 50 grams of the yarn left. So I honestly have enough yarn for another pair of socks. And on top of that, when I was knitting, if I had 50 grams left, I mean, I still would have had, they would have been over the knee socks if I got them to the color in the gradient that I wanted. So I decided just to put on a cuff, make them regular socks, and then I will start on a second pair of socks so I can get the green in those socks. So, but these should have been finished by now, but I was trying to debate what I wanted to do, and I had finally brought out my scale and measured what I had left and decided that I have a whole nother pair of socks here that I just stop and throw on the cuffs. So I just started doing the cuffs a couple days ago on that. So my last sock project, because I hadn't decided what I was going to do with those quite yet, so I just needed another pair of vanilla socks to be able to work on. So I decided to cast on a pair of socks for my son. So we had gone to Michael's one time when they were having a sale, and I had him pick out a couple of the Patons Kroy sock yarn, and he picked out, here's one of the balls. So this is their gray-brown marl. And so here is what I have on the first sock. So I have put in yarn for my heel. We had lost power for a little bit of time, and I was knitting in the candlelight, and I just grabbed a skein of extra yarn. I have a whole bag of leftover yarn, and I just grabbed one without really paying attention to the color because it was dark in the house. And I picked this purple, but there's not a whole lot of contrast between them, so in my eyesight as I'm getting older, it's not getting any better. So it'll be interesting picking up the stitches between the brown and the purple. I'm sure I will figure it out. I just may need to pull out my OttLite and do it under that. But here's what I have so far. And so my normal socks are knit on size 1, 2.25 millimeters, with 64 stitches. But these are being knit on, they're US 1, they're the Addi Turbos, but they're actually, the Addis are 2.5 millimeters. So I am doing, I'm trying to think now, 56 stitches on these, and I'm getting the same width. And I like the fabric these are creating with that, so these are knitting along much faster. And here's what I have of the second sock so far. I've started a toe. I haven't gotten very far on the toe. So that is it for my sock work in progresses. I have quite a few. I'm going to concentrate on the Black Bunny Fiber vanilla socks because I think I can get those done this weekend and have one less work in progress. Although I say I'm going to concentrate on that this weekend, my last work in progress has to get done for next week. I am knitting a chicken hat. Yes, I am knitting a chicken hat. You heard me correctly. Or I'm not knitting it, I am crocheting it. So here is, it's by Dragon Bird Creations. Here's a picture of it. So my younger son is doing they do a state project in the 4th grade, and each child gets a different state and they have to do research on the state, do a poster, and then they have a state fair. And in the state fair, they then have to dress up as either someone famous from the state or something representing the state. So my younger son has Rhode Island. Rhode Island state bird is a Rhode Island red, which is a chicken. And actually, I'm pretty sure this is what a Rhode Island red, if it isn't a Rhode Island red, that's basically what they look like. So he asked me to knit him a chicken hat so he can dress up as a chicken for the state fair, which is, it has to be done by Wednesday. So I just started yesterday because I like waiting to the last minute to do things. So this is being knit out of, I don't have all of the skeins of yarn because they're quite large and I don't have enough room for them, but it's out of Impeccable. And I basically have the hat done. Here's the back, that's the back, here's the front. So now I have to knit all the little individual pieces of the hat. So I do have, these are called the eye flaps. I don't know why that grosses me out saying eye flaps, but I have one eye flap done, and I am working on the second eye flap. So, and then I have a beak to do, I have the cones at the top, and the little black part of the eye is still left to do. Although I have to say crocheting it goes much quicker than knitting, although I still do prefer knitting over crocheting, but that is what I am working on, and this is what I'm going to be concentrating on all weekend until it's done. Then I can start on the socks. So hopefully these will be done. This will be done soon. So, and then I'm using a size H crochet hook, which is a 5 millimeter. So this is a loop and thread. I really like it. Has a silicone handle to it. I do love it. It's very comfortable, and I ended up buying one for my crochet blanket, my granny stripe blanket, and I haven't made much progress on that, but I am enjoying using those crochet hooks much better than the metal ones. So that is it for my works in progress, which are quite a bit. Hopefully I'll get 2 off the needle, get the rest of the socks off. I feel sometimes when I have these many works in progress, I feel a little overwhelmed. I make a little bit of progress on each thing, but I feel like I don't get a whole lot accomplished, even though I probably do. So that is it. So as far as, I didn't purchase any yarn, but I did pick up a couple, I guess that would fall under supplies. So the first thing I did pick up is I picked up some Addi Turbos, the 12-inch in a size 4, because I wanted to use these for the Sunset Highway sweater for these sleeves. Because there's color work, I feel much more comfortable doing color work in the round rather than doing it on magic loop. And I don't do double pointed needles. I hate double pointed needles. I drop them, I fidget with them, I have ladders. So I decided to go ahead and pick up the 12-inch so I can do the sleeves for the Sunset Highway with that. And then I need to do a lot of hat knitting is what I need to do, because I went and I picked up more. Here we go. I picked up more pom-poms, faux fur pom-poms. So these are by Fabunits, and I do have her card here. So here it is. So, and these are the ones I had purchased from her before. I can't remember if they were 4-inch. Pretty sure they were 4-inch, and I went and I had purchased 5-inch pom-poms. So here's the first one. And I don't remember, I think this one was her bear faux fur. And here is, this one was just white. I love this one. See, I think this with that would look stunning, but I don't think I have enough of just the pink to get away with a whole hat in that. And then this one has, it's white with brown tips. I love how fluffy these are. So I picked up those, so I have a lot of hat knitting to do. So that is it for purchases, and that is it for the knitting things. And then as far as what has been going on here, we have had 3 nor'easters in the last 2 weeks, and it has been exhausting. You would have thought I would have gotten a lot more knitting done with that much time off of work. The first nor'easter, it was just rain. There was some issues out towards the Cape and the South Shore with a lot of people losing power. We didn't lose any power with the first storm. However, there were a lot of downed trees and road closures around here. So there was that storm. Then that was on a Friday. And then the second storm was on a Wednesday. And that one, we got about 15 inches of snow, maybe a little bit less with that storm, but it was heavy snow, and we lost power for 2 days. So I had taken, it was on a Wednesday, and I had taken Thursday and Friday off, and I didn't do anything I had planned on. I wanted to do some sewing, and no electricity, couldn't sew. Then there was no heat with the no electricity. I was cooking on the grill. We do not have a generator. In all honesty, I think the last time we lost power for more than a couple hours was back in 2011. And my husband and I we've debated and we've gone back and forth on a generator, but is it really worth it if we're only going to be using it like once every 7 years? I don't know. So anyway, so we did lose power for a couple days, and at that time my husband also had the flu. And then, so Thursday night, with no power, no heat, 1 o'clock in the morning, the smoke detector batteries went in our basement. And It woke me up. He was passed out on NyQuil, so my husband didn't hear a thing. The kids were actually sleeping over my mother-in-law's because she ended up getting power back where she was, so we figured the boys could at least sleep in a nice heated house. So my boys were over there, and I'm sitting there at 1 in the morning going, is it worth it? Is it worth going downstairs? Can I fall asleep with the beeping going on? And no, about a half an hour of listening to the beeping, there I am fumbling with the flashlight and the batteries and trying to change those out, which actually the timing was good. It was the same weekend of daylight savings, which is normally when we change the batteries in our carbon monoxide detectors and our smoke detectors anyways. So the timing was fine. It would have been better if it wasn't 1 o'clock in the morning in the pitch black with no lights for me to turn on. But I got that done. I did that weekend though go out to dinner with some friends to a restaurant called Alicante, which is a kind of Greek-Italian restaurant. It was excellent and I had a great time. I had a veal, it wasn't a salt and bocca, but it was close, with prosciutto and spinach. It was delicious and I really enjoyed that, and it was nice going out with the girls and getting out of the house because I'm surrounded by boys when I am in the house. So we did that. So then on this past Tuesday, the Tuesday I was supposed to film, we got another 15 inches of snow. So I didn't have to work that day either. However, luckily we did not lose power, but I'm telling you, the shoveling, and it was heavy snow again. The shoveling and the snow blowing, I'm exhausted. And now they're talking about a possible another nor'easter for next Wednesday. So it's still too early to tell. However, they are saying it's going to be another sizable storm. So we'll see what happens on Wednesday. So, and then as far as anything else, I think the storms have kind of kept us homeward bound, which hasn't been horrible. And it was kind of, I have to admit, kind of nice knitting by candlelight one of the nights. And then the no heat, it started getting old fast. When the electricity came on, my husband went over to the thermostat and it was 45 degrees in the house when the power finally kicked back on. And then this weekend, my younger son and my husband are camping. They're camping at Battleship Cove, and I believe they're going to be camping on one of the battleships there, so he is really excited about that. And my oldest son was supposed to go camping as well. I thought I was going to have the whole weekend to myself, and it did not work out that way. The storm last Tuesday, unfortunately, the cabin they were going to stay at one of the state parks was damaged in the storm, so unfortunately they are not going camping. So it'll be my older son and I. So he does have a soccer game he didn't think he was going to be able to make, but now it is a playoff game, so at least he's excited he can make that game. So we will do that on Saturday, and I'll also take him out to dinner. And that's about it. And like I said, with the storm coming up, there's nothing else we really have planned and nothing really going on. It's just hoping the snow melts pretty quickly, and I'm hoping next Wednesday is not as bad as they're predicting it to be. So I am hoping all of you have a wonderful 2 weeks ahead. Bye.